never thought I'd be the one writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I want to share what happened because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. I was engaged to Emily for almost 2 years, and honestly, I thought I knew her. She seemed perfect, beautiful, confident, a little bitchy, but in a way that I found charming. We had plans for a wedding, a life together. Everything was supposed to be smooth sailing. Or so I thought. Things started feeling off a few weeks before the wedding. Emily became unusually distant. She started canceling date nights, dodging calls, and being downright rude over small things. It was like she was giving me subtle hints she wasn't fully in it anymore. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe she was nervous or stressed about the big day. But then I caught her lying once, just a small lie about where she was going or who she was with. Nothing big, right? Just a little deception. But that was the first crack in what I thought was our perfect story. Then came the real sign that something was wrong. I noticed her phone was more guarded than ever. She'd hide it when I entered the room and the lock screen changed. She started acting weird when I asked about her day, suddenly defensive or dismissive. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake this nagging feeling that she was hiding something. The worst part, I didn't have any proof, just these gut feelings. One night I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower. I know, bad move. But I was desperate. I figured maybe I'd find some answers. And what I found, what I saw, hit me like a punch to the stomach. There were texts, pictures, all from a number I didn't recognize. The messages were flirty, suggestive, and explicit. I saw her talking about sex, about how much she loved the thrill of sneaking around. There were photos of her in bed with someone, her face half hidden but clearly her body. My stomach turned. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't believe it. My wife-to-be, my Emily, was cheating on me with my best friend Daniel. It was like a kick in the teeth, cruel and sudden. I sat there in the dark, trembling. My mind raced. How long had this been going on? Was I just blind? Or had I deliberately ignored the signs because I wanted to believe she was perfect? I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. And then the wave of questions started crashing down. How could she lie so effortlessly? Did I ever really know her, or was she just pretending all along? I didn't confront her that night. I needed to think, to process what I'd found. But the truth was, I was already planning my next move. I couldn't just let this go. Not without some kind of reckoning. I wanted to know why she did it, how she managed to lie so convincingly, and whether there was any way to make this right, or if I should just walk away and forget I ever knew her. The thing is, I was done trusting her. Done trusting anyone. Because if she could betray me like this, then what was the point? I was sitting on a powder keg, and I knew it was only a matter of time before everything exploded. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding head and a stomach that felt like it was tied in knots. I couldn't sleep after what I saw. My mind kept replaying the images, her messages, her face in those photos, the way she lied with such ease. I'd never felt such a mix of anger and sadness before. It was like I was mourning someone I didn't even really know. Someone I thought I knew but clearly didn't. That thought kept coming back. How could I be so blind? I decided I needed to confront her. No more hiding. No more pretending I didn't see what I saw. I waited until she got home from her gym session, which I knew was a lie because her phone pinged her location from a different part of town. When she walked through the door, I was already standing in the living room, my arms crossed, cold and tense. She looked surprised at first, then annoyed. "What's wrong, Jake? You look like you've seen a ghost." I didn't hold back. I pulled out her phone, laid it on the table, and said, "Tell me what the hell this is." Her face went colorless as she saw the messages, the photos. She tried to play it off, brushing it aside with some ridiculous excuse about how it was just a stupid mistake, something she did out of boredom or some fleeting moment of weakness. She called the guy just some guy, said nothing serious happened and that I should trust her, that she loved me and would never really hurt me. But I wasn't buying it, not anymore. I told her I knew everything, about Daniel, about the sex, about how she'd been lying all along. Her eyes flickered with anger, then she started acting bitchy, throwing words at me like I was the one in the wrong. She said I was overreacting, that I was insecure, that I shouldn't accuse her of something she didn't do. She even said I was jealous. I was so furious I could hardly speak. I'd never seen her like this, so cold, so quick to blame me for everything. Her reaction only cemented what I already knew deep down. She'd been lying for weeks, maybe longer. She'd cheated on me with Daniel just days before our wedding, and now she was trying to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a fling. It was a full-blown affair, and she didn't care about my feelings at all. She was more interested in defending herself, in saving her own ass than in telling the truth. I lost it. I told her to pack her stuff and get out. I told her I didn't want to see her again, that I couldn't be with someone who lied and cheated. And her response? She said I was overreacting, that I was making a huge deal out of nothing, that she loved me and would never do anything to hurt me. She said she'd stop seeing Daniel, that it was just a mistake, that she was sorry. But I knew better. I saw her for what she was, just a manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything, even cheating on her own wedding day. That confrontation was the worst moment of my life. I felt like my world was crashing down around me. I was devastated but also angry. Angry at her for lying, for betraying me, for making me question everything I'd ever known about her. And angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. I wanted to believe in her, to believe that she was the one, but now I saw her for what she truly was, a liar, a cheater, a manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with it all. That day I realized I had to make a choice, whether to forgive and try to rebuild or to cut her out and move on. Honestly, I didn't know if I could forgive her, not after this. But I also knew I couldn't keep pretending I didn't see what she did. My life was changing forever, and I didn't have the slightest idea what was coming next. After she left that day, I felt numb. It was like my mind was trying to process what just happened, but all I could feel was this deep, gnawing hollow inside me. The betrayal was one thing, but the way she dismissed it, as if it was no big deal, made it worse. I kept thinking about all the times she lied, about her whereabouts, about her feelings, about everything. It suddenly felt like I had been living with a stranger all along. Someone who smiled at me and pretended to love me while secretly sneaking around with my best friend. I spent the next few days in a fog, every time I saw her face in my mind. That betrayal burned deeper. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat properly. It was like my brain refused to accept what I just learned. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, questioning everything. Did I ever really know her? Did I ever really know Daniel? Or was everything a lie from the start? The worst part was feeling so helpless, like I was just a pawn in some cruel game I didn't even understand. But I knew I couldn't stay stuck in that place. I had to do something. I started thinking about revenge. Not some petty thing, but something that would hit her where it hurt, something that would make her feel as betrayed as I did, or worse. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't going to be a doormat, that I wasn't going to be played like a fool. I needed to take control, even if it meant stooping to her level. Because honestly, I felt like she had taken everything from me, my trust, my future, my dignity. I needed to fight back. I began planning. I knew she was bitchy and manipulative, so I had to be careful. I started gathering evidence, looking for ways to expose her to her friends, her family, and most importantly, Daniel. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool who'd get taken advantage of. I wanted her to feel the same pain she caused me, the pain of being publicly humiliated and betrayed. The more I thought about it, the clearer my plan became. I wouldn't just walk away quietly. I was going to make her regret everything she did. It wasn't just about revenge, though. It was about reclaiming myself. I realized I'd spent so much time trying to please her, trying to make her happy, that I lost sight of who I was. Now I was angry, yes, but also determined. I wasn't going to let her destroy me. If she thought she could cheat, lie, and then brush it aside like it was nothing, she was dead wrong. I was going to show her that actions have consequences, that people who lie and cheat will be held accountable. That's how I started to move forward, step by step. I reached out to some old friends, people who knew her, who could corroborate what I'd found. I started building my own story, my own version of what she'd done. I knew I couldn't undo what had happened, but I could control how I responded. I could choose to let her ruin me or to rise above it. And honestly, I wasn't sure which path I was going to take at that point. All I knew was that I wasn't going to let her get away with it all without some kind of payback. That's what kept me going. The idea of reclaiming my dignity, even if it meant burning everything down first. Over the next few days, I threw myself into planning. I started documenting everything, the texts, the photos, the times I caught her lying, everything that could serve as evidence. I knew I had to be smart about this. I wasn't just going to confront her again and hope she fesses up. No, I needed a plan that would leave her no room to deny the truth. I also reached out to Daniel. I didn't tell him I knew everything right away, but I made sure I had enough dirt on him to use when the time was right. I wanted him to understand what he'd done, how he'd ruined what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I collected screenshots, messages, and even a few photos I found in her phone. I was determined to make sure they both understood how thoroughly I was prepared to destroy their little scheme if they kept playing games. Meanwhile, my mind kept circling back to her. Emily was still around, trying to act normal, pretending like nothing had happened. She'd send me texts, sweet, fake apologies, trying to smooth things over, saying she loved me and it was a mistake, that she was sorry that she'd stopped seeing Daniel. I looked at those messages and felt a wave of disgust. She thought a few words could undo what she did, like she was some victim who got caught. No way. I wasn't falling for her bullshit anymore. I started to realize how much her attitude had changed. She was bitchy, sarcastic, almost daring me to confront her. I could see the glint of arrogance in her eyes, like she believed she could manipulate her way out of everything. That only made me angrier. I wasn't going to let her use her charm or her bitchy attitude to try to deceive me again. This time I was serious. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be betrayed, how it hurts, how it stings, how it totally shatters trust. One night I decided enough was enough. I called her and told her I wanted to meet. She was hesitant at first, but I made it clear I wasn't backing down. She came over, still acting like she was in control, but I could see the nervousness behind her eyes. I laid everything out, my evidence, my feelings, how her actions had destroyed any shred of respect I had left for her. She tried to deny it, of course, saying I was overreacting, that she loved me, that it was just a drunken mistake or some stupid flirtation. I told her I didn't believe her anymore. I told her she had to choose, either tell the truth or face the consequences. Her reaction was classic Emily, defensive, bitchy, full of excuses. She threw her head back and snapped, "You don't understand, Jake. You're just jealous because I look better than that loser Daniel ever could. And honestly, I don't even care what you say anymore." That was her way of dismissing my feelings, turning it all into some petty jealousy drama, but I wasn't buying it. I'd heard enough. I told her I was done, that I'd had enough of her lies. I told her I was going to expose her publicly if I had to, that I'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person she really was. That night, I felt an odd mix of relief and emptiness. I had finally confronted her and I'd laid everything bare. But at the same time, I felt like I was losing a part of myself. I'd always believed in honesty, in trust, in love. Now all I could think about was how much I'd been played. I was tired, hurt, and angry, but I also felt a strange sense of empowerment. I realized I wasn't going to let her walk all over me anymore. I was going to take control of this mess, no matter what it took. I owed myself that much. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I started putting my plan into motion. I reached out to a few friends I trusted, guys who knew Emily from way back, and told them everything I had uncovered. I wanted to make sure that if I was going to do this, I had allies in my corner. Some of them were shocked, others angry on my behalf. And I could tell Emily sensed that I was serious. She attempted to call me several times, trying to smooth things over with that fake "I love you" tone she always used when she was about to lie some more. But I wasn't having it. I had already made up my mind. I was going to expose her. Not just to her friends or family. No, I wanted the world to see her for what she really was. The cheating, the lies, her bitchy attitude, everything. I knew that if I took this public, it would crush her ego, make her feel what I'd been feeling, humiliated, betrayed, and powerless. One night, I decided to send some of the evidence to her closest friends. I didn't give her a chance to spin her usual bullshit about how I was crazy or jealous. I wanted them to see the truth raw and unfiltered. I sent screenshots of her messages with Daniel, the photos, the times I found her lying about her whereabouts. I told them exactly what she was doing, how she'd betrayed. both me and herself. I didn't hold back. I wanted her to be exposed for who she really was. Her reaction was predictable. She flipped out. She called me a psycho, said I was ruining her reputation, and accused me of trying to control her. That's when I realized how narcissistic she was. She thought she was untouchable, that she could lie her way out of anything. But her little game was falling apart. Her friends started questioning her, asking her why she'd do such a thing, and she had no good answers. Her bitchy front was cracking. Meanwhile, I felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time since I found out, I felt I was reclaiming my power. I was no longer the victim. I was the one who was taking control. I told myself, this is just the beginning. I would make sure everyone knew what kind of person Emily really was. That way she couldn't pretend anymore, and she'd have to face the consequences of her actions. But beneath that, I was still hurting. Every time I saw her reaction, I felt like I was losing a part of my trust, my hope. I kept asking myself if I should just let it go, forgive her, and try to move on. But deep down, I knew that wasn't an option anymore, not after everything. If I let her get away with this, she'd just do it again to someone else. And I couldn't be part of that. I had to stand my ground, so I kept pushing forward. I prepared to tell everyone, the wedding's off, the truth is out, and I was done. I'd rebuild my life without her. It was a brutal lesson, but one I needed to learn. Because now I knew trust is fragile, and some people are just good at hiding who they really are until it's too late. And I'd be damned if I let someone like Emily ruin me without a fight. In the end, I did what I knew I had to do. I called off the wedding, canceled everything, and made a public statement about what I'd found. It was messy, embarrassing even, but honestly, I didn't care anymore. I wanted everyone to know the truth. Emily, of course, tried to spin it, paint herself as the victim, claim I was stalking or crazy, typical. But her words didn't matter. The damage was done. The fallout was swift. Her friends started distancing themselves from her. Some even told her they couldn't believe she'd do something so reckless and dishonest. Her family was disappointed, but maybe they saw the real her for the first time. Daniel disappeared, probably realizing the mess he was in, and I heard through the grapevine that he was trying to save face, but it was too late for that. The trust was gone. As for me, I spent some time alone trying to piece everything back together. It hurt badly. I kept questioning how someone I loved and trusted could do something so cruel, but I also felt a strange sense of liberation. I finally saw things clearly. I learned that some people are good at hiding their true nature until they're caught, and you can't change that. All you can do is walk away, learn from it, and move on. Looking back, I realize this has changed me forever. I'm more cautious now, more guarded. I don't trust easily, but I also refuse to let betrayal define me. I've started rebuilding my life, focusing on myself, and rediscovering what happiness really means outside of someone who lied and cheated her way into my life. If anything, I hope this story serves as a warning. Trust your gut, pay attention to the signs, and never let anyone, no matter how charming or bitchy, make you feel like you're crazy for asking questions, because the truth always comes out eventually. And when it does, it's better to face it head-on than to live in the illusion that everything's okay. Now I'm finally moving forward. Better alone than lied to and betrayed by someone I once loved. That's the lesson I take away from all of this. Trust is fragile, guard it. And if someone betrays you, don't hesitate. Cut them out. Reclaim your life. Because nobody deserves to wake up one day feeling like they've been completely duped, wondering if they ever really knew the person they thought they loved.